Welcome everyone to Book Date with You, the platform where we recommend the best book to you. Today is episode 111, and we are going to recommend this book to you. The I'm Not a Mourning Person by Kris Carr. And I'm going to give you a short introduction of Kris Carr. Kris Carr is a multiple New York Times best-selling author, wellness activist, and cancer thriver. She's been called a force of nature by O, the Oprah magazine, and was named a new role model by the New York Times. Kris is also a member of Oprah's Super Soul 100, a group of the most influential thought leaders today. Other media appearances, including Good Morning America, The Today Show, and The Oprah Winfrey Show. She and her work have been featured in Glamour, Prevention, Scientific American, Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, and other national publications. Kris has helped millions of people take charge of their health and like they means through her award-winning blog, books, online courses, and membership communities. With so much accolades, can't wait to hear from Joyce about this book. Joyce, go ahead.
Thank you, Gideon. It's this book has been published last year, September 2023. So I personally did not really buy this book once it is published, but I only started to buy it earlier this year. And 2 months ago, I picked up the book to read it because I know that I need to learn so much more about grief because I was in a grief recovering process back then. So what I want to share with you is Kris definitely is an awesome person because for me, I am in her community, the Inner Circle Wellness. So it's like every single month she will share a lot of great tips how to really take care of our well-being. So this is the book that talk about really have so many recommendations and also tools to do what to expect when you are not expecting that your world falls apart. So this, I was so amazed by so many great example. From the first few chapters, I really cry so much every single time I read the book because it is so resonated with me. All the examples and the sentences that Kris actually mentioned in the book. So first of all, let me introduce to you what it means by rupture. Kris mentioned about a word called rupture. This rupture, I quote from her, it's like, have you ever had a moment of seeing your worst fears realized? And most of us have at some point. Your world crumbling into million disconnected puzzle pieces. A situation that is such a clusterfuck that at the first glance that you are positive that it cannot be fixed. And if by some miracle that you can make it better, you will surely never be the same. This is what she meant by rupture. And rupture comes in all shapes and sizes. For example, you lost your job due to downsizing or because of something happened that you can't stay at the job, you get fired from the job, and losing a close friendship. Financial instability leads to downsizing, a breakup, divorce, or someone that you love passed away and the loved one health diagnosis and your own diagnosis, and so on and so forth. This is what she called a rupture. And this definitely, when all this happens, means that you are getting through a grief process. So this is what she tell is, I'm here to tell you that even the worst ruptures can reveal a roadmap to our next chapter. So this is a place that forcing us to re-examine where we have been and take an urgent action that will hopefully get us where we meant to be. So when I discovered the book, I found that it's so awesome. Even the first few pages, it tells me something that I need to listen so much. Because when I was in the grief process, the pain, the the pain or the big emotions that comes to me it is like a wave, like a big wave that comes to me. So when a big wave comes to me, for me, I will just automatically so easy that I will feel like I want to resist the wave. So the more I resist the wave, the bigger the waves comes. So I feel so tired. I really feel like my life is having lack of energy to really fight, fight with the waves. But the way to deal with that is actually let the big emotion, the big pain that come pass through you, pass through your body. This is what she write. It's like the only way through the sadness was to allow the big waves of big feelings to move through the body. It's like something that you feel like you fear to deal with that, but it's the only way. So when the wave comes, so you let it pass, so the wave will become smaller and smaller. It's easier for you to serve through. So there is no other ways to really get past the emotions, the big emotions. So this is what she meant about this. Give yourself permission to feel. This is something like I really hope, everyone that listen right now. So it's like only when you give yourself permission to feel you'll be able to pick up the pieces of the shattered hearts and lives that put ourselves back together. Because when you are in grief, you feel like you're falling into million of pieces. This is exactly the sentences I use when I talk to my therapist or whoever. It's like I feel like my life, my heart is whatever, fall into million pieces that I will never get back it together. So it is something like this is the book, really helps us to gather back into what we can do in a very, very small step to move forward. The word Kris used, is moving forward, not move on. It's like what you're looking forward, you know, a little bit more. So she talked about this. She's not going to sugarcoat about grief. Grief really, really sucks. And grief is not linear. It's like a lot of time we thought that we can snap our finger and then after that the you can flip the script, then the grief goes off. No, no, no. Grief is not linear. When it comes, it will work us over whatever way it wants, and it has its own damn schedule. This is what Kris write in the book, that we cannot snap our finger and let it be done with the devastation. It will take time. So when she write this, I can resonate it so much because I always thought that I can flip it. Like this, but it doesn't go away in this way. It takes me months and months and months to deal with it. It has its own time, and you bury. Let's see. Sometimes we tend to bury down our pain. So if you sweep your pain under the carpet or you bury it, you don't want to see it. I tell you, it can make you sick. It can really make you sick, and at least it can make you constipation. This book write this, not I write, but I tell you, I experience it. I don't fall sick. I don't fall sick. I'm glad for that. But one thing, I did have constipation. So it's like the body emotions, your digestive system is not really working well when you are in grief. So the part is, we have to be brave enough to take care of our hearts, our messy emotion that teach us how to be free. It's like not free from the pain, it's like free from the fear of the pain. So this is like really grief really helps us to understand and teaches us so much of this priceless, I would say priceless and heart expanding and healing lessons. It is also figure out what matter most versus what you need to let go of, allow you to reset, breathing into the next phase of brave, courageous, and utterly unique you. I can tell you, when you complete the grief, I would say that you feel like yourself is like a reborn, a new you, something like so new that can comes into the part. So I'm so glad that Kris write this book, majorly when she write, she quote a lot of story about her dad passing. Her dad passed away, and so many great lesson she learned is when dealing with grief, it's not about forgetting the person. It's not forgetting the job. It's not forgetting about the relationship. It's learning how to live without them. So when you have someone pass away or you end a relationship or whatever, the person will no longer in your life, right? So which means that you need to live without them. So it is something so great to learn, letting go of the control. You know, those people like me, especially, I'm someone that love to to plan, strategize. When I mean, a lot of people of us, we love to plan, love to strategize. I know that Gideon, we are in the same category of person. We love to plan and strategize things like everything under our control. But sometimes it's just like, learning how to, when we want to be in control, means that we are fighting the reality a lot. So it's hard for us to see that when we are in a process of grief or in a vortex of loss, it's hard for us to see that we actually need to let go of the control. So I think this serves as a reminder for us to know that, surrender. Surrender to the reality is the way moving forward. Looking at that is surrender is not quitting, is not giving up. It is learning through the power of surrender is that we are able to lay down the stress, anxiety, or the heavy burdens that keep us running in the opposite of the direction of love. So it's like we need to learn how to surrender and accept it and moving forward to do whatever we can. So with that, being okay starts with acknowledging that in fact that you are not okay. A lot of time we are in great pressure when someone asks you, how are you? For the past 1.5 years almost, so many people are asking me, Joyce, how are you? Sometimes I feel a great pressure when people ask me, how are you? In fact, that I am not okay. And I feel great pressure that I want to tell people that I'm fine, I'm okay. But in fact, it's like acknowledging that you are not okay. So in the fact, like, we need to know that we are not okay before we know that we are okay. So that's one part of acknowledging our how we feel. And next, it's a very powerful thing. I want to remind you that this book mentioned again and again so many times. It's about the question is not the why, it is what. It is a question I tell you when things happen. Automatically we are humans. Human beings love to ask why. Why this happened to me? Why me? And I tell you, I cannot figure out how many millions times I ask myself why. It is so crazy. Even though how much I know that I should ask what, how, instead of asking myself why. So the what question is, what do I most need right now to feel supported? What do I most need right now to feel supported? And another $1 million questions. When you are in grief, you feel yourself like stuck. I tell my therapist is like how many times like I constantly feel I'm stuck. Just stuck with somewhere. I don't know where. It's just stuck. It's not going to move on. So that is the $1 million questions you can ask yourself. How do I get unstuck? How do I get unstuck? So that is so many things that she shared in the book that I want to highlight. Most important thing is when you are in the process of grief, remember that you can always get support before you think you need to. Oh dear, this is the question. This is the thing that I waited so long to ask for help. So Kris also the same. She mentioned about this. I wish I did this sooner. she also experienced this. It's like she tell us like she think that she can go through this grief, and I myself also think that I can go through this grief. With all the preparations I have back then, I know I'm a big learner. I always thought that I can go through this grief myself. But anytime, anyhow, I found that I failed to do that. And I asked help. So that is how, you always can get support. For example, for me, I get connect to my friend who is a grief recovery therapist that she actually helped me through the grief recovery process. So this is such a great 6 weeks for me to discover, to really get explore and complete the grieving process. I think this is such an important things that a lot of you or me that do not know yet. Even how much I know back then, but I never know that I need this help until I get the support from my friend who is a grief recovery therapist. So I want to mention about this when a lot of time when you are in this rupture, when you are in this grief process, caring for yourself is always the number one thing that you can do. So how to really care for yourself? So Chris shared one very important thing is like create a sacred physical space for yourself. Find a sacred physical space for yourself. And Gideon, later I want to ask you, I'm going to share myself first. Whenever I have a devastation, anything that happened in my life, sad one, big one, the place that I will go is actually my own car. You may laugh at me, I know that. Why I choose my own car? I just feel like this is a very sacred space for me. So I'm very curious about Gideon. Do you actually have this sacred physical space for you yourself when you feel like you want to be alone? You want to find this space is the place that you can visit and replenish yourself and reset for yourself?
I I don't have a fixed location, so I would just go to cafe where no one know me, a quiet cafe, to sit there. Yeah.
Yeah. I, because I see that a lot of us, every one of us, we have our own sacred space, right? Find our own sacred space, I think is so much important because like Gideon, he like to go to the cafe that nobody knows him. So for me, I love to be in my own car. I can shout, I can really cry so hard in my car that nobody actually see me, right? So that's why I see that this is such an important place for us to discover that. And definitely asking ourselves what do I most need right now to feel supported? I know it's hard for you to turn over to ask yourself from the why to the what or how, but in fact, I want to surround yourself with this empowering question before you feel like you need you know, to need that. Because for me, I keep asking the question of the why, and I know that forever I will not know the answer. So, okay, let's go to the fear and anxiety. So, Chris mentioned about fear and anxiety in the book as one of the chapter. So, when you have this anxiety or fear inside you, so she always practice this, which I want to bring to you, is say, "I love you." I mean, you imagine yourself, not imagine you look yourself in the mirror. You go to the mirror, look at yourself. This is what she say. I love you, Chris. Chris is her name, right? So I say, I love you, Chris. I'm here for you. Whatever happens, we will figure it out together. So it's like you reaffirm yourself that you can figure it out together. So it's like sometimes it's just like we don't know the future. Then we are doing all the best with the tools that we have at the moment that we can at this right at the time, including every one of us. So this is something that we can do. And definitely when you have this fear and anxiety, number one thing Chris asks us to do is to breathe. A lot of us, we know that we need to breathe, but we forgot how to have a right way to really breathe. Breathe, you know, inhale and exhale. Sometimes we just need to really get out from there. So that is how, when she mentioned about her dad, before he passed away, he passed the last message to Kris, talking about this. I quote, "You have to live your life now, love. Make now as your golden years. Slow down and give yourself more of the good stuff along the way." I love this word. Make now your golden years. Don't wait until you did retire, right? Only you enjoy your life. It's like every single day. It is such a great, great way for us to, enjoy our life. And definitely so much more that we can do to help us to go and complete our grief. So this is the part one. And next 2 weeks, I will going to share with you next episode, the part two of this I'm not a morning person. So stay tuned with the part two. If you love this part one, more practical tools coming on the way. So leave me in the comment section below. What is the aha moment that you see from today's session that you think that you can directly put into use, or you can put into your toolbox when you need it, you know how to take it out to use it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.